And so you may be thinking, what's he talking about grit? I don't want to, like, what's this grit all about? We talked about growing up in the grit. So I said, how many of you are growing up in the grit? But I want to now talk about growing up in the grit. Wait. I'm going to say that again. See, some of you grew up in age in the grit, but now I want to talk to you about growing up, maturing, developing in the grit. Because there's some things that I only think happen, and you can only learn, you can only mature, and you can only grow up in if you're willing to get in the grit. You miss up on some maturity or some growing up. See, there's an account in Luke 15, Luke writes this account. I'm just going to reference it. You can go look it up later. But it's about this gentleman who's got some kind of riches, some kind of inheritance. He's built up some wealth, and he has 2 sons. And one of the sons says, hey, I'm done with kind of being under you, Dad. You know, and the typical order of how it happened is the dad would go on, the sons would serve under the dad. They'd be stewards, they'd be faithful with what was the dad's, and then at his death, the son would get the inheritance at his father's death. And this one son says, I want it now. And so the dad gives him his inheritance, and he goes and parties it up. He lives it up. It's in the lights. Everyone loves him until his money runs out. And then all the lights go away. And he literally gets into the grit with the pigs. And he starts eating with them and helping them, and he's in the grit, and he comes to this revelation. He grows up and matures in the grit and goes, it would be better for me to be a servant with my dad than in this. Right? There was something that happened. And so I think the son tried to skip out on the development, the grit under his father. And here's what I want to say. If you skip the grit to try to get to the glitz, you become an insecure, immature, adult-looking kid. You may know someone like that. Honestly, if you get the glitz without the grit, you don't know what to do. You don't know the cost it took to get there. So you end up with some sort of insecure, immature, adult-looking kids. Can I give a note to parents and guardians? If you don't have any kids, you can go, whew. If you want to have kids, listen up. If you have kids, maybe it's too late. It's for your grandkids. But listen, can I help somebody out today? Don't let your kids skip the grit no matter how hard they try and how hard it is to make them do it. Don't let them skip the grit. What do I mean that? Don't let them skip their chores. Take their screens away. Put limits on that. I know what it's like where they're like, it would just be so much easier. Don't let them skip some of that. Guess what, parents? It's okay for your kid to get second place. And if they don't get a participation trophy, now, sure, I get it. I get some of that. We've been through some of that. I can't get into all the logistics of why you would do that. But guess what? It's okay for them to get some grit happening in their life where they have to have some resolve and some character building. I tried, but I didn't get this. It's okay for them to have a chores list and want to get to do something and get told no. It's okay. Let them stumble and fall. Let them hurt themselves. Let them go through some stuff. I know we're trying to protect them and we want to keep them all that, guard them and give them our best, but they miss out on some growth if they never experience the grit. Don't give them all the glitter without experiencing some of the grit. Teens, young adults, single persons, students, dreamers and visionaries. That's a nice way to say young and old, right? Because that's how we talked about it last week. Dreamers and visionaries, you can put yourself in that. Grit and glitz is when you are experiencing the grit in your life. Don't look to get away from it, look to grow up in it.